All right, perfect. Let's do it, guys. So I'm going to introduce our speaker today. We have Mrs. Esther Bangura, aka Boss of My Money, and she's a financial coach who is particularly passionate about helping women master their budget and achieve financial success with the Budgeting Masterclass. Without any further ado, I would like to bring Esther to the platform. Hello, Esther. Hello. Good afternoon. You're muted. We can't hear you. You're muted. You're muted.
My bad. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you ever so much. This is such an amazing platform. Thank you for bringing me back again. Such an honor to be here. And guys, I'm going to get straight into it. And like the previous gentleman said, get your phone, get anything you've got near you that you can write on. You want to take notes because I'm going to go through a lot, right? I'm going to go through a lot, and I'm not just going to tell you about finances. I'm not just going to teach you. I'm going to give you actionable steps of the things that you need to do to get your money to work for you whilst you're at university. So I'm going to start off by sharing my story. And to be very honest, this is the first time, I would say, maybe the second time, where I'm speaking so openly about my story and what it was like for me at university, because it wasn't a good time for me at all, right? So in 2004, I was a student at Hertfordshire University, and I had just come out of care. I was in a care home for about 3 years, and then I went to college and I managed to get a space at Hertfordshire University. I also just started living by myself, and it was supposed to be the best time of my life. You know, I was really looking forward to this time, but it was full of so much stress, guys. You know, up until I started university, I was only responsible for managing £80 to £100 a month. That was all I was responsible for. Whilst I was in care, you know, my rent was being paid, bills were being paid. That £80 to £100, all I was doing with it was buying clothes, charging gas and electric, and buying food. And that I was okay with that. That was manageable for me. And then I go to uni, September comes, and guess what I see in my bank account? £4,000. And in them days, they were giving us grants. So I got the student maintenance and I got a grant. Happy days. Have I ever seen that kind of money in my bank account? No. So what do? I go to H&M because, you know, I need to get my drip on. I need to get my garms on for uni. We've got Freshers Week, and I need to be looking good because, you know, it's my clothing that's going to get me the grades. I need to look good for the lecturer. So I'd go to H&M, buy whatever I wanted. I bought all new books, you know, realizing later on I didn't even need to buy new books. Half the books I didn't even need because they were at the library or I could get electronic access to. I gave my friends money. You know, my family knew that I was at uni now. I gave them money. I made so many poor choices and it was so difficult for me. That was in September. Come November, had no money left. That £4,000 was supposed to last me until January. No money left. So what did I start doing? I started doing hairdressing, mobile hairdressing. I was missing lectures just to get money to pay my bills, just to get money so that I could pay to attend some of my lectures. I was late on my rent. I was late on my BT bill. All of this started when I became a student because nobody taught me, nobody showed me what I needed to do with that money, right? And I did with it what I knew what to do. I was responsible for £60 to £100. So I bought clothes with it and bought food with it. So to cut a long story short, I was very much a broke student, right? And it was so bad that I dropped out of uni. I couldn't take it. It was so stressful that I dropped out. It wasn't even because I wasn't enjoying the course. It wasn't even because of the university. It was simply because I was in so much financial distress that I couldn't handle it. And I decided, you know what, I'm getting into debt. You know, I'm just going to quit uni and I'm just going to go and get a job. And I am here today to share that story because I don't want you to make the same mistakes. Now, I'm in my mid-30s, right? So where I was years ago, that's where most of you guys are today, you know, and it was really difficult. And the funniest thing is that a lot of my friends were going through the same thing and we never shared it. We never spoke about money. We talked about everything else. We talked about guys, about clothes, about music, about partying, but we never talked about the fact that we're going home to eat toast and beans. Nobody talked about that, you know. And so it's really important that you're able to share that part of your life with the people that you call your friends whilst you're at university. So it was really tough for me, you know, and I hope that you are able to learn from my mistakes. So first of all, I want to congratulate every single person that is at university. You know, you made it, well done. You know, and I want to congratulate those who are in their first year, second year, in your final year. It's such an amazing time of your life, and it's really important that you make the best out of it. And you remember why you're there. You're there for a short period of time. You're there to accomplish something. Let money not be the reason why it gets so stressful or that you drop out. So I'm going to be sharing loads of tips with you today. And I really want to encourage you to be the exception. You know, I'm wishing you all the best at university. Make it count. Make those 3 years count. Do your best and then some. If you didn't tune in at 12 o'clock, if you missed, I can't remember what her name was, but if you missed that speaker, you need to go back after you've registered at 6 and listen to all the previous speakers, right? Because you need to do your best and then some. As a child of God, we are called to be successful in all of our ways, not just in one area, in all of our ways. Live in your truth. That's the one thing I want you to get out of this session, is to live in your truth and know that no matter what you set your mind to do, you can do it with the help of God. All you need is determination. So if you decide from now, I refuse to be a broke student. I'm not about that life. I'm not about bread and toast. I'm not about that life. I'm going to have savings as a student. I'm going to live within my means as a student. I'm not going to be stressed about money as a student. And I'm going to believe in God that as I'm being a good steward of my finances, God is going to make a way. And he always does. But you have to be faithful. And there's times where even when we're not faithful, God comes through. Right. But we're not to test him. He's called us to be faithful. So be faithful in your finances. Be faithful in your studies. Be faithful in your worship to him. Be faithful in every area of your life. Right. And create an environment for success. Be around the right people. People that are going to help you to succeed, even in your finances. Not just people who are helping you with personal development, but even in your finances. So I'm going to get straight into it. In the society that we live, we don't talk about money. Like I said, we talk about everything else. We do not talk about money. Imagine right now, you're investing, it's about 9 grand now, isn't it, for tuition fees? You're investing over 27 grand to study something for 3 years. And in that 3 years, no one is going to teach you how to manage the very thing that you're studying to earn. It doesn't make sense. We're in a messed up society and we don't have our priorities right. We're not taught finances in schools. Our parents don't really do a good job at teaching us, right? So most of the time we learn the hard way, and that has to stop. We learn the hard way, and that has to stop right here. Let you be that last generation who is not financially literate. Let it end here. Decide for yourself today that I'm going to be the last person in my generation, in my family, that doesn't know about finances. And some of you are probably really uncomfortable when it comes to talking about money. I love talking about money, and not from a prideful way, not from a boastful way, but it's because we need to talk more about it. And so the first thing I want to talk about is friendship and money, because this is really, really important. When you go to university is a very social place. It's very social. You got Freshers Week. And I know things look different in COVID, right? Things look different, but at some point we're going to go back to some normality. And whether or not they're having, Freshers Week face to face, there are other things right now that are going to be screaming at you for your money. There's things online that are going to be screaming at you. So the same thing applies. Now, when it comes to friendship and money, I was the kind of person that said yes to everything, and in saying yes to my friends, not because I had the money, not because I could afford it, but because I wanted to fit in, because I wanted to be a part of whatever experience that they were having. And that caused me to get into credit card debt. That caused me to miss a bill payment. That caused me to pay a bill late and then get charged late payment fees. that caused me not to have enough money at the end of the week for food, because I could afford to go out with you, but then I'm coming home and now I have no money for food and I've got all these assignments to do, and now I'm stressed and now I can't even share that with you because I'm supposed to be showing you that I'm good. And it's like one thing after the other. So it's so important for you to live in your truth. Live in your truth always, because how you are with money now is how you're always going to be with money, right? Decide for yourself now what it is that you want. And I love the Bible scripture that says the truth that is what will set you free. And being the boss of your money is owning the fact that there are seasons where you can't spend money. Like, there's priorities. You've got priorities. You need to pay your rent. You know, you need to make sure that you've got a roof over your head, that you've got food to eat, that you can keep your internet on so you can do your assignments. You ain't trying to get cut off on your internet. You want to make sure that your phone line is on and EE or Virgin are not calling you because your bill payment is late. So it's really important that when you think about money, you think about how it impacts you and your relationship. And sometimes you have to say no, not because you want to, right? And the truth is that you're going to feel bad in saying no. That's because when we care about people and when we want to make people happy, you don't want to say no to them. That's the reason why you feel bad. But I'm here to tell you that you need to feel bad and say no anyway, because we don't operate with our emotions. And there's other ways that you can be there for your friends. There's other ways that you can support them. There's other ways that you can hang out, enjoy each other's company where it doesn't involve spending money. Not everything is about going out to eat. You can have just as much fun indoors. You can have just as much fun going to a free place. So just bear that in mind. And so because there's times where you have to say no to friends, it's really important the way in which you say it. So I want to give you some tips on how to say no to people, right? Because it is very uncomfortable and it's all about setting boundaries. You first need to be honest and live in your truth, right? Let them know, I can't afford it. I literally ain't got the money. You know how these student people, they be charging all £1,000 for accommodation. Man ain't got no money. Like, the only money I have left is for food. Be honest and be real with your people. If they're your friends, they're going to appreciate your honesty. If you can't afford it, tell them this is the reason why I can't afford it. All my bill payments are coming out next week. I don't even know how much it's going to be because it's the first month. It might be higher than what I estimated. Let these payments go past and then I'll see how much I have left and we can roll together. And as Christians, we're called to value relationships. So how you say no to someone is really, really important. Like I said, replace spending money with your time. Help them in another area. You know, one of my friends asked me to go on a weekend trip when I had £18,000 worth of debt. At first I said yes, and then I realized you ain't got no money. Where are you actually going to get that money from? You've got £18,000 worth of debt. You're already short on your bills. And I called her and I said, look, I can't afford to go on this trip. This trip is going to cost £200 that I don't have. I don't even have savings. But this is what I'm going to do for you, right? I'm going to drive you to the airport the day you're going. You just give me the time. And guess what? It only cost me £5. £5 petrol. I was still able to be there with my friend. I was still able to support her. So look for ways that you can support your friends and be there for your friends and your family, where it doesn't mean that you're going to go out of pocket. It doesn't mean that your bills are not going to get paid. So look for other ways that you can help and support them. Spending £5 is better than spending £200 that you ain't got. And also, if you're having the type of conversation where you're saying no to them, say it in person. Don't send them a cheesy text message. I can't come because I ain't got no money. Remember, as Christians, we have to value people. Show them that you love them. Show them that you care for them. Pick up the phone and call them and tell them this is my situation. Because the truth is they are probably going through it as well. If we all walked in our truth, half of us won't need therapy because we could give each other therapy. Like, you broke, I'm broke too. Do you know what? How about we just get together and figure this out? Or do you know something? This is what I'm doing to help me save money. Or do you know if you go to this place, you can get this for cheap? So we need to be more open and more real when it comes to our finances. As your financial situation improves, so it's not that you say no to your friends or say no to things forever, right? As you improve in your finances, what you want to do is you want to create a budget for the fun stuff. Because guess what? Your friends are going to have birthdays. Someone's going to get married. Someone in the middle of second year, when everybody else is doing exams, they're going to find a girl or find a man, and they're going to want to get married. And you're going to have to spend over £200-300, you know, to attend the wedding. So it's not that you don't get to be a part of these times of celebration, but plan ahead for it. So what do? You set aside a budget. Every month you're putting £30 away, because that's for your celebration pot. That's for when your friend says, hey, guess what? You know, this has happened. I want to celebrate. Let's go out. You've got the money for it. You're not having to put that on a credit card and then pay interest on it when that thing happened 6 months ago. So it's not that you can't enjoy the things that you want to enjoy. It's all about planning ahead for it. So have a budget. You can call it whatever you want. It can be a budget for fun. It can be a budget, you know, this budget is for my friends. It's to celebrate. And finally, have the right people around you. It's so important that if you're all about succeeding in your finances, you need to be around people that you can talk to about your money. You need to be around people that will encourage you, that will be like, bruv, have you paid your rent yet? And you're going to buy £200 trainers. Are you mad? Like you've got bills to pay and you're going out spending money. These are the types of things that your friends need to be telling you. This is how you need to be accountable to them, right? So be around people that you know are going to help you, you know, to really stay on track when it comes to your finances. Now, I want to move on and talk about how to budget like a boss, right? The company that I run is called Boss of My Money, and I want you to be the boss of your money whilst you're at university. And like I said, how you manage your money now, let me tell you, when you graduate and you get that job, that's the same way you're going to manage your money. If you're a spender now, you're going to be a spender then. So if you get in the habit right now of managing that £4,000 or that £3,000 that you get every 3 months, those habits, that discipline is going to carry you so that when you get your first job and you're earning 20, 30, 40, 50K, you know exactly what to do with it. So the first thing is know how long the money that you have needs to stretch for. Student loan are not paying you on a monthly basis. So you need to pay yourself on a monthly basis. The money they give you is to last you for up to 4 months, right? So you need to know that this money here that I get in September, in October, needs to last me till October. Don't look at that money as this money is just for September. So that's one thing. When it comes to budgeting, you first need to know, okay, how much have I got? And how long does this need to last me for? And that's how you budget. So when you budget that money, you're literally creating a 4-month budget. So that money needs to stretch for you for 4 months. So that's the first thing you do. The second thing you do is to know the numbers. What's coming in and what is going out? How much is my rent going to be? Does my rent include my utilities? Some people, they have to pay council tax separately. They have to pay their gas and electric separately. Consider the expenses that you have on a monthly basis, right? Work out first, how much am I planning to spend every month on my bills? And then you divide that money by 4. That's how much you should be paying yourself from your student loan money to manage on a monthly basis. If you look at that money and just try to manage it all at once, it's going to go. Because you're going to think that you have money for that month and it's going to go. Secondly, you want to break up your student loan, as I mentioned, into monthly or weekly portions. So instead of looking at it as like a quarterly amount, some people like to do it on a weekly basis. Some people like to do it on a monthly basis. So you break that up. So if you have 4 grand, for example, and that has to last you for 4 months, you sit down and you calculate how much your rent is and everything is, right? If you're paying on a monthly basis. And a lot of the time, your first installment goes like this, because most accommodations, they want you to pay for the first term. So all of that money, maybe 2 grand of that money will go in accommodation because they want you to pay in bulk. So once you know exactly how much you're spending in that month, so say your accommodation, everything you're spending is £1,000, you then want to move that £1,000 into a separate account. So you're not even looking at that 3 grand that's there. because that 3 grand is for October, November, and December. The only amount of money that you're focusing on is the 1,000 that is in front of you that you need to spend within that month. That's the only thing that you're looking at. If you look at that 3 grand, you're going to find stuff to spend it on. So I would suggest that you have 4 different types of account. You have your student account, which your student loan money gets paid into. You have your bills account, which your rent, your gas, your electric, your mobile phone bill, everything goes out of. And then you have your fun pot, because we need to have fun in it. Like, I'm the kind of budgeter where we budget, we save, we invest, but hey, we're going to have fun as well. So you need to have a fun pot. And then you're going to have another account, which is your savings. Because guess what? You're no longer a broke student. You can still save money as a student. And I'm going to show you how. So that's the 4 accounts that you need. Your student loan account where your money gets paid into, your bills account where all your bills come out of, your fun pot money, if you're going out to eat, if you're buying clothes, if you're buying gifts, whatever you're buying yourself comes out of the fun pot money. And then number 4, your savings account money. And then you want to separate the money, as I mentioned. Each month, you want to set up a standing order and you want the money to go out. You don't want to have to sit and think about it. And then number 5, like I said, you may think that your loan is a lot, but it really isn't. 4 grand is small money for 4 months. So don't look at it as it's a lot of money, right? Because by the time you pay your rent, by the time you do your food shopping, by the time if you're traveling to uni, you pay for travel, by the time you buy books, you know, all of that stuff, it's not a lot of money. So just remember that you need to factor in your bills with that money. And finally, you know, when you have the temptation to spend, just hold it off. And by doing that, you're literally building that muscle. When you have the temptation that, okay, I need to buy this, just wait 1 more day, sleep on it, wait till next week, build that muscle, right? Because a lot of the time we think that we need something now, but that's because we see that the money is there. And by you practicing delayed gratification, you're learning to, 1, only spend money when you have it. And you're learning how to say no, because this flesh is going to want things. This flesh is going to come at you and be like, I want this. You need to give that to me. And every now and then, even if you can, you have to be like, no, you can wait. Even when you have the money, you can be like, no, you can wait. So my microwave, it started to rust, right, from the inside. And I was like, oh, like, I don't want to buy a new microwave. And I'll see how this rusting thing goes on. If it gets worse, then I have to replace it. And it's getting worse, it's getting worse, it's getting worse. So I'm like, okay, I know I need to get a microwave. The Esther before, that one little rust that she saw, you're getting replaced, mate. But I have got to that point where, yes, I need a new microwave, but I'm going to take my time. I'm going to shop around. I'm going to make sure I get the best deal. I'm going to see if there's a way for me to fix it. My husband tried to see if he could fix it, and he was like, no, it's just going to keep rusting. We need to get a new one. The Esther before, if I heard that microwave make a sound that I didn't understand, we're getting a new one. So every now and then you need to be able to say no to yourself, even when you do have the money, because you're building that discipline. You also want to make sure that you create, I know I said it was the final one, but I actually have more. You also want to make sure that you create your budget before you pay anything out. So once you get your student loan money, that's in your student loan account, right? Every month before you transfer that 1,000 into your bills money or into your fund pot, you want to create a budget. You want to look at, okay, I've already paid my rent for the semester. I've already paid 2 grand, you know, rent. I only now need to budget for my expenses and for food, right? So every month you're looking at your budget as a fresh thing. Okay, what am I going to be spending money on this month? It's really important that you look at it fresh every single month, because a lot of the time we're stressing about things that are way ahead, right? Or we're missing things that's right in front of us. I mentioned already that you need to have a fund pot, and I'm going to show you by sharing my slide with you how to actually create a budget, because you can still save and you can still have fun with your money. You also want to keep track of what you're spending. So just have a little sheet of paper or make a note on your phone where every time you spend money, you're making a note of it down so that you can track exactly where your money is going. So when you need to save money, you can be like, okay, do you know what? I can actually cut on these few things. So track your money so that you know exactly where your money is going. And finally, plan for special occasions. Like I mentioned, you still want to have fun whilst at your uni. You still want to buy things. So it's not that you can't spend any money. It's not that you're not allowed to have fun. You just have to plan ahead for it. So now I'm going to just literally give you just some bullets. I call them, some bullet tips on managing your finances overall. And trust me, if you apply these lessons as a student, these are lessons and these are tips that you can apply for the rest of your life with your finances. I was talking to my friend she is a generational wealth builder. So she coaches people on how to turn their wealth into generational wealth. And we were talking, and one of the things we realized is that rich people, those people who are millionaires, are doing the exact same thing as I'm doing. They're just 10x-ing it. The principles are the same, even on this level. Rich people budget. Rich people say no to things, and I know the term rich can sound a bit worldly, but it is in the Bible. Go and read Proverbs, like it's there. It might sound worldly, but it is God's will for our life, for us to be wealthy and for us to be rich. And so rich people have a budget. When rich people look at money, they see money as an opportunity, as a tool to make more money. What do you see money as? What is your view of money? Is it just to spend? Because if it is, that's exactly what money is going to be for you. So I'm going to go through just some tips. So the first one is to first decide to be a wealthy student and not a broke student. You first have to make the decision. You first have to be intentional about you starting uni and you being a student. I am not going to be about that broke life. I'm going to be a steward of my finances. And you want to remember that loans are money that you have to pay back. Your student loan, you have to pay it back. So if you waste it and if you splurge it, every paycheck, as I said in the beginning, I didn't finish my degree. When I started working, I was still being, money was still being taken out of my pay slip for that loan. Do you know what I did? Within 1 year, I paid it off. I was like, I do not want to be reminded of a degree that I did not finish. I want this off my payslip. So remember that whatever you use your student loan money on, you're going to have to pay it back. You're going to be reminded of the foolish things that you spent your money on if you choose to spend it foolishly. Or you will be reminded of the wise things that you spent your money on if you choose to spend your money wisely. You also want to make sure that you take care of your essentials first. University is stressful. Like, I'm not even going to try and water it down. This is a big thing. It's a big thing. At the end of it, you're going to get a degree. At the end of it, you're planning to get a job and earn good money and good salary. Take away the unnecessary stress. You don't want to be studying for exams. You don't want to be doing assessments and having to worry about how you're going to pay your bills. Do that. You can do that by being a good steward of your finances. So take care of the essentials first. Make sure your rent is paid. Make sure your utilities is paid. I always say to people, I can't be broke and look mash up at the same time. When I'm broke, I have to look my best. I have to make sure that there's food at home, right? Because I can't be stressed and hungry. Make sure that you've got food in your house. So when those stressful season comes, and you're doing exams, you can cook yourself a nice healthy meal. So take care of the essentials first. Align your values and goals with how you spend money. Because somebody said it, I can't remember who, right? But they made a point that, it says a lot about who you are as a person with how you spend your money. If I want to know about your values, I just need to look at your bank account. in the last 3 months. And I can tell you exactly who you are. I can tell you exactly where your values are. I can tell you exactly what your real goals are, the things that you put value to. So whenever you spend money, you want to think, how is this aligning with the person that I want to be? How is this expense being a testimony of who I am and who Christ wants me to be? So is the way that you're spending money aligned with your values? And is it aligned with your goals? That's what you have to ask yourself. It's also important for you to keep a small amount of everything that you earn. Every single penny that you get in the habit. If someone gives you £10, learn to put some of it away. Even when I get £1, I get it changed and I put 30p aside and I spend the 70p. Start doing it with £1. If you start doing it with £1, you can do it with £10. You can do it with £100. You can do it with £1,000. Don't just wait until you have so much of it. Because like I said, how you are with £10 is how you're going to be with £100. If you can't save £10 every month, you're not going to save 100. If you can't save from your student loan money, when you start working and you're earning more, you ain't going to save more because that's too much to give. £100 is just way too much to give than £10. So remember to keep a small amount of everything that you earn and that you receive. Like I said before, if you want to buy something, just wait a day. Just be like, do you know what? I want this, but I'm going to wait a day. Sleep on it. See how you feel. Most of the time, it's driven by emotion. Most of the time, our wants, we don't really need it. Someone's annoyed us. And we're now taking it out on our finances. Why are you punishing your finances? Because somebody's annoyed you. And that was very much me. If somebody upset me or I was annoyed at something, I'll go to Brent Cross, splash money, £300 gone. Next day, rent coming out, no money. Barclays messaging me, you're overdrawn, £30 fee. Haringey Council writing to me, you missed your rent. Just because somebody annoyed me. So remember that a lot of these purchases are driven by emotions. Just wait a day. Build that muscle, build that discipline. Say no to the flesh. And as you do that, it gets better. It really does get better. You be like, you go online. There's times where I go online and I fill up. I went on Boohoo the other day. I filled up the basket. I was like, oh, it's getting cold. I need some loungewear stuff. I filled it up, 120 quid. I just closed the browser. I don't need that. And a lot of the time it's just to go through the motion. Whereas before I would fill it up and I would make sure I hit that checkout. But now I just go through the motion. I just wanted to see some pretty clothes and imagine myself in it and be like, I don't need that. You've got clothes. Go and finish wearing all the clothes that's in your wardrobe and then come back. So sometimes it's not even that, we have to spend the money. It's just really in that moment asking yourself, do I really need this? Where is this drive? Where is it coming from? Because a lot of the time it's an emotional thing. It's not even because we need it. And also book things early, right? So if you're traveling back home to see your parents, it's cheaper when you book things early. And when you book things early, pay that £1 or £2 insurance. Because the truth is that, like, as a student, you really are managing a small amount of money. Insurance is so important. Insure your laptop, insure your phone. Because guess what? When it breaks, you ain't got £1,000 to get a new one. If you've got an Apple device, when it breaks, they're just going to say, hey, mate, you might as well just get a new one because, it's going to cost you just about the same to fix it. Insure your laptop, insure your phone. Make sure you have home content insurance. If someone breaks into where you live and they steal your laptop or they steal your money, get insurance. Even on your train ticket, pay that £1. You might feel like, but if nothing happens, then it's a waste of money. Insurance is called risk management. If you have a car, you're not arguing with DVLA about having life insurance, about having car insurance. Because if you don't, you go to prison. So apply that same mindset when it comes to your finances. Book things early, you get a good deal, and make sure you insure everything. When you have insurance, it prevents you from getting into debt because things are going to break. Life is going to happen. your phone might get stolen. Your phone might drop. Your phone might knock your phone out in your hand and it drops and smashes. Right? So make sure that you have insurance for the vital things, and check your policy. Understand what it covers. Understand what the excess is. Most insurance have an excess of like 50 or £100. Understand how you can claim. Understand, you know, like the small print. Actually read it, so you, when it's time for you to make a claim, you know it's exactly what your right is. And also, if you want to know, and I've said this already, if you want to know how you're going to be with money in 10 years time, look at what you're doing with money now. If you want to know the state of your finances in 10 years time, look at how you're behaving with money even as a student. It doesn't cut it anymore that, Anna, you know, when you're a student, you know, it's about that. It doesn't have to be about that broke life. Because how you're behaving now, if you don't change, is how you're always going to be with money. The way that I was managing my finances at uni, when I started working, same thing. Nothing changed. I didn't change. I got married. My husband's working. I'm working. We're earning big money. Nothing changed. Still wasn't paying my bill. Still splashing money. Still buying things that I shouldn't be buying. Still not paying my rent. I almost got evicted 3 times from my house. This isn't as a student. This is as me working full-time in a job, earning good salary and being married. So don't think that, oh, when I start working, I'll fix up. When I get married, I'll fix up. When I have kids, no, start now. Because I did learn my lessons when I was at uni. I sure learned them in my 30s. And I thank God that in the past 3 years that I've decided to get my act of God up together. By the grace of God, like, I'm out of debt. I had £18,000 worth of debt. My husband and I are now completely debt free. Wow. We saved up to 3 months emergency fund. My husband is self-employed. He's an electrician. And when COVID happened, the construction industry was shut down. We were down to 1 income. But guess what? We had savings. I didn't have to go to beg anyone. I didn't have to go and take credit card. I didn't have to go into no overdraft. We had enough money that if Boris Johnson decided to lock us down for 9 months, we would have been okay. We would have still been able to pay our bills, right? And like I said, I almost got evicted from this very house that I'm sitting here today 3 times. I got a call from my mortgage broker on Friday. He's coming to visit us on Tuesday because we're about to buy our home. Wow. So let me tell you something. Thank you. Let me tell you something. It is possible, but don't wait 10, 15 years later. Don't wait. I have 2 siblings. I'm 10 years older and 12 years older than them. I made sure that they did make the same mistakes as me. I was like, nah, you're not, money's not going to be an issue for you at university. And I want the same for you. I'm not here to like sell you anything. This is real stuff, guys. This is real stuff. And how you are with the money, it says a lot about who you are. And a lot of the things that God has planned for you, it's all about you being a good steward. He's not going to bless you with a business. He's not going to bless you with all this stuff that you want if you can't even manage what he's given you. Right, I'm going to move from sermon mode back into my finance mode. So you want to be aware of who you're around. Who are you around? Who's speaking in your ear? What are they feeding you? What are you feeding them? Are your friends helping you to save money? Or are they encouraging you to spend? Surround yourself with stingy friends. Because guess what? You're going to save money with them and you thank them later. 10 years from now, you're going to appreciate them. Have a game plan and be intentional about your money. You can't just go into uni like, yeah, we'll just see how it goes. Just take it one day at a time. You got to have a plan. You need to be ready because them credit card companies, they're waiting for you. They're probably already written to you. Come and open this account. We'll give you £500 overdraft. That's basically me saying to you, here's £500. Hold it. Use it as you like. It's debt. They're not giving you overdraft. They're giving you debt. because that money you're going to use anyway. And this is the thing, I'm not like against overdraft, but I'm against having it when you don't know how to use it. They're not educating you about how to use it. They're just saying, here's 500. They don't know if you can budget. They don't know if you're disciplined enough. They're just saying, here, have it. And there's a wiser way to build your credit, and it's not by debt. It's not by credit. That teaching is a worldly teaching, and it will get you in trouble even before you graduate. And I haven't got time to kind of go into how to manage overdraft, but I'm telling you, if you can avoid it, avoid it. You can still build your credit by paying your phone bill on time. You can still build your credit by making sure that you're on the electoral register. You don't need to have all this debt in order for you to build your credit. And you also have to make sure that you're not associating happiness with spending money. Because like I said, we go by the emotion. Don't associate money with emotion. Don't associate money with happiness. Don't associate money with sadness, because the enemy is going to use that. Money is a tool. It's there for you as a tool. Don't attach it to any emotion, you know. And that's something that I've had to kind of learn. Like I said, when I used to be upset or I used to get stressed and depressed, I'll go and spend money. And then one day I sat down and I was like, what is this? Do you realize that whenever you're vexed, you just like go and splash and you ain't even got it? And so what I did is I created myself a kind of get vexed money or a bad day pot, right? So I started off with £50. I was like, okay, I'm just going to put this £50 here every month. I'm going to put this £50 for when somebody annoys me or I'm having a bad day. I'm just going to use that £50 and spend it. And over time, I reduced it to 40, and then I reduced it to 30. Do you want to know what my get vexed money is now? It's £5. Because I realized that it wasn't even so much about the amount. It was just more in that moment. I just needed to do something for myself. In that moment of feeling unhappy or someone's upset me, I just needed to do something nice for me. But it doesn't have to be £200 on a credit card. It doesn't have to be my rent money. Now I take my £5 on my way home. I stop by at Nando's. I get my half a quarter chicken, or I get my peri wings, or I go to Wilko. I love buying stationeries and I buy my stationery. So it's not that you can't have fun, but you have to be aware of how you're spending money and what are the things that are driving you. You need to understand your money behavior. Why are you spending that way? Where is that coming from? Where did you learn that? What is that all about? Because if you don't stop and ask yourself, you're just going to keep going. It becomes a habit. That habit will become your character. That character, you're going to take it into your workplace. You're going to take it into your relationships. And then guess what? Your kids are just going to repeat the same thing because you ain't got nothing to pass on to them. No principles, no wisdom to pass on to them. And it becomes a vicious cycle. I've already mentioned, avoid credit cards if you can. You ain't trying to manage debt at uni. You're trying to get a degree. You ain't trying to build credit at uni. You're trying to get a degree. You're trying to graduate with good grades. You're trying to make it as stressless as possible. You're not trying to build credit at uni. You're not trying to have debt. You're just trying to get by. You're just trying to make sure that every day you have what you need and you're able to live within your means. Okay, so now I want to actually show you how to create a budget. And I'm going to share my screen and just let me know your thoughts so far in the comments as I switch on my screen. I'd love to just be able to hear your thoughts. What are you learning? What are you taking from it? Please talk to me.
Guys, please, can we, give a round of applause for some of these tips? This is priceless stuff that we're learning right now. Priceless stuff. A lot of this stuff I didn't know going into my first year. So if any of you first years, this is key stuff to be taken down. Make sure that you're saying what you're getting and what you're gaining from this talk. Put it in the comments so we can see.
Great stuff. I can see them. Someone's saying it's amazing. Someone's like, honestly. Great stuff. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate you. Talk back to me. I want to know, like, what have you learned so far? Just share with me one thing. What have you learned? I have been talking for a whole 45 minutes. If there's one thing that you haven't learned, there's a problem. So I want you to comment. What have you learned? What types of standard? Okay. I want you to write down your questions, because we're going to have time to go through your questions. Write down your questions on a piece of paper or on your phone so that we don't miss it in the comments. I want every single person to be able to answer their questions at the end.
Some people have said that they've learned that having different spending pots is important, and they've learned the connection between money and emotions, which is something that I never really considered before. I didn't consider that there was a correlation between, you know, how you spend your money and how your emotions can impact that. So I definitely learned that today.
And that's how they get us. That's how these these companies, even the banks and the credit cards, they hire psychologists to be on their marketing team, because it really is an emotional thing. They're speaking to our emotion. Even when we go on social media, everyone's trying to sell at us. Everyone's trying to get our attention, and it's all done through the algorithms. Through the, you go on YouTube and they know what you like. They know where you're shopping. They know exactly how to get you, and they prey on your emotions. So it's really important that as a child of God, you're on top of it. You're one step ahead of them. Okay, so thank you so much for sharing your feedback. I'm so happy that you guys are taking away stuff from this. It's really important that you're learning and not just listening. So I'm now going to share my screen with you.
Are you able to share your screen?
Yep. Can you see what I'm seeing, which is like a PDF file?
Not yet. Let's try. Yeah. Okay, now.
Okay, brilliant. So guys, everybody that's on this live will actually get a copy of this from Andre. And I think that's whether they sign up or not. So you need to sign up to the program in order to get this. But this is basically a budget sheet that I share with students that I coach with their finances. You probably get like a different layout of it, but it will be exactly the same, right? So there are 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there are 4 categories in our student budget, right? The first category here is your income. So this is where you note down how much money you're expecting to receive in that month and where that money is coming from. So it could be student finance, right? It could be a grant that you're getting, or a bursary, or a scholarship payment from your course. It could be that your parents are sending you £100 that month, or £200 or whatever, or someone's just decided to bless you with some money that month. It could be that you have a part-time job that you're getting money from. Somebody may have gifted you. You may have personal savings as well that you're going to have to take money from that month for what particular reason. But the first thing you want to do is you want to capture your income, right? And where that money is coming from. So you've got the amount, you've got the date that that money came in, which account that money came out of. And you need to make a note of whether this money is interest or with interest, or if it's interest free, because that's going to determine how you use that money. Because money that you're having to pay interest on, like your student finance, you better be using it wisely, because that's money that you're going to have to pay 2-3 times over in the coming years. So you want to make a note of any income that you're receiving that's interest or interest free. So that's the first thing that we do. The second thing that you do, and I know most people do this last, but this is the first thing that you do. And if you start doing this now, from the very beginning of university, I'm telling you, you will not struggle. This is what I call the pay myself first method. And it's called the 30, that should actually be 70, it's a typo, but I'll get it corrected when I send this. It's called the 30-70 method. Right? So what you first want to do is put 10% aside for your giving or offering. Now, because your student finances are loan, right? You don't necessarily have to tithe from it because it's a loan that you have to pay back, but you can still give from it, right? If you want to tithe from it, it's as the Spirit leads. Like, you have to do what God is telling you to do, but you can put 10% aside either for your tithe or to give as your offering. You then want to put 10% aside of that money into your emergency saving. It's really important that you build an emergency pot whilst you're at uni. And the reason why is that your student finance are crap, you know. They will delay you. Their system is something's gonna happen, all these issues. You don't want to deal with that stress. The first money you get, put £500 aside, and I'm going to show you how to actually save with your student loan money. You can either save as a bulk sum or you can save every month, but you want to have an emergency fund pot whilst you're at uni. In case they pay you late, you can still survive in those weeks whilst the payment comes through. So you want to put 10% aside for giving, 10% aside into an emergency pot, and then you want to keep 10% for you to have fun. This is what you're going to buy clothes with. This is what you're going to go out with. This is what you're going to treat yourself with. And the rest of the 70% goes towards your food, your bills, and university. This is how you cut your coat according to your size. This is how you don't get into debt. This is how you don't get into your overdraft. This is how, after university, the only debt you have is your student loan. This is where you pay yourself first, and it's called the 30-70 rule. If you start doing that now, right, it means that you always be living within your means. What most people do is this: they get paid, then they pay everybody else, and then they're like, oh, I'll see what I have left at the end, and then I'll save, and then I'll give, or then I'll pay my tithe. No, you do that first. That's how you be a good steward of your money, is that you pay, and it's called the pay yourself first method. So once you've done that, you now know the 70% that's left, that's all you have to spend for that month. So say, for example, you're taking £1,000 from your student finance, you know, every month, you put 1,000 here in the amount, right? You're going to put £100 as your giving. You're going to put £100 into your savings, and the £100 is for you that month to spend. So you can do whatever you want with £100, but that's all you have for that month. If you want to go to H&M or to wherever and buy clothes, no problem. But know that if anybody invites you anywhere, you can't go, because the rest of the money you have is for food, is for bills, and is for uni stuff. You then want to have two types of expense list. The first one is priority bills, right? These are your essentials. These are things you need to survive at uni. Accommodation, your gas and electric. Some people have this included in their accommodation. Some people have to pay for it separate. And if you're living at home, you have no excuse of struggling financially as a student, because a lot of the expenses that you would have, you're not having to pay for it. Your parents may ask you to contribute, you know, and it's within their right. And actually, it's a good thing by them asking you to contribute if you're earning money, because it will get you ready, you know, for when you move out, because you're already getting used to paying bills. So your essential are accommodation, gas, electric, food, clothing. And this is essential clothing. And when I mean by clothing, I mean like, okay, winter is coming up. You know, depending on where you're going to university in some of these cold cities, you know, you're going to need warm clothes. You know, you're going to need, you know, decent footwear, you know, that might cost a little bit, that you can buy in the sale on Boxing Day to see you through. So these are like essential items that you need. Course materials are essential. Your mobile phone, TV license, because they'll take you to court. Car insurance. Nobody argues about having car insurance, but they argue about insuring their phone and laptops. Now, having a car hire. So some people might be paying for their car. What I don't understand is if you're studying, right? And I know that some people, you know, uni's far and they have to travel, but you're already like into that debt mode, because you've already taken something that you don't have money for. And as a student, you don't really have that regular income coming in. So for you to now go and take a whole car payment that you're dedicating yourself to or committing yourself to paying every month, that's a big responsibility. So really think about whether or not you need to have a car whilst at uni. You got to pay them payments every month. You need to pay your car insurance. You need to pay maintenance fee. In some cases, it makes sense, but just because everyone's getting a car to drive to uni doesn't mean that you have to. It doesn't make financial sense all the time. But in this case, I have put it in the priority bills, because if you've taken out car finance, you have to pay. If you don't pay it and you miss payments, not only will they take the car away, you still have to pay that money. And if you have a car, things like car insurance, road tax, it's a must. If you don't have a car, you want to be able to get to uni. Like I said, I would get my student loan, and 2 months later, like, I would have to miss lectures to go and do somebody's hair to get money to make a few of the lectures. You want to make sure that you can get to uni. And guess what? This even happens with people that are working. That used to be me. Even when I was working, I'll get paid, spend all the money. I don't even have a travel card to get into work the last week. Don't let that be you, because it's a lot of people out there. People just don't talk about it. So part of your essential bills is to make sure that you can get to your lectures and that you're not using that money on a night out. Your laptop insurance, your backup cloud. There's certain things you just don't mess about, or you don't compromise as a student. Because when you're working on that assignment and your computer crashes and you don't have a backup cloud, there you go. Or your laptop gets stolen, or you lose it. That's all your work gone. So there's certain things that you just don't compromise as a student. Don't let a night out compromise these things. Printing credit. I actually have dyslexia, so I print everything. I have to print everything, so make sure that you're able to afford things that you need. If you have something like dyslexia and you know that you need to print stuff, don't mess with that. Don't compromise with that. If there's a software that you need for your laptop to help you, do your spell check, don't mess with that. Like, my sister was able to invest in things like Grammarly to help her do spell check. That's because she was managing her finances properly. Internet access. You need it to be able to do your studies. Right now with lockdown, everything is online. So these are your priority bills. Now, depending on your situation, there might be more things for you to add on there, but this is just to give you a guide. And again, you put down the amount that's owed, the date that it's coming out, and which account. All of these bills should be coming out of your bills account, which you would have already budgeted for, because you would have, your bill's going to be the same every month. Every month, your rent, your gas and electric, it should be the same. All of this is the same. So you would already know how much your bills are going to be even before the payment goes out, and you know that the money's there. That account, all you're doing is reviewing it. You're just making sure that the bills are paid. You're not going in and spending money in that account. And then once that bill is paid, you come back to your budget and you tick it off that it's been paid. And in this season, it's so important that you keep an eye on your bank accounts, because there's scammers out there. There are people taking out loans and applying for business loans using people's name. So make sure that you're checking your credit reports at least once every month. You can sign up to ClearScore. ClearScore is free. And you just want to keep an eye to make sure that no one's doing fraud with your finances. Okay, and then finally, you've got your non-priority bills. Non-priority are things that are good to have. We don't have to have them, but we like to have them. And there's nothing wrong with having them if you can afford it. So this will be things like TV subscriptions. They're good to have. Your Amazon Prime, it's good to have. Your Netflix, it's good to have. Clothing, it's good to have. Like I said, non-essential, because a lot of us, we've got clothes. Like if they had locked down all the stores and we couldn't even shop online, we would still be wearing clothes, through lockdown. So you've got to think of it as, your clothing, you should only be really spending money on your essential clothing, and your non-essential should really be coming from your fun pot. And then you've got entertainment. So if you're going out to the movies, if you're going out with friends, and then you got your personal grooming. Listen, you got to look good. There's no excuse to look mash up just because you're no excuse. You can't be stressing about exams and looking mash up. So you need to get your hair cut. Ladies, we need to get our hair done. So make room for that. Spend money on the things that make you happy. So if you know that your thing is to make sure that your hair, you've got that fresh cut every 2 weeks, put it in your budget. Don't compromise with that. So this is basically how you create a budget. And if you sign up to the program, you definitely be able to get your hands on this. And this will be there as an example. And you also have the blank version of it for you to put in your own numbers. Okay, I'm now going to show you how to save, right, in 12 months. I'm going to see if I can actually make this a little bit smaller so that you can see the full screen. Okay, so there's 3 options for you to save with your student loan money. Option 1, if you're able to, take £780 from the very first lump of money you get, put it in your savings. And that will be your emergency fund money. Sorry, that will be your emergency fund money for the year. What that means is your emergency fund is only going to cover things in your priority. It's not for non-priority. It's not for you to pay your Amazon or your Netflix or to buy non-essential clothing. That emergency fund money is if student loan mess up your payment or your landlord acts crazy. I had a friend who went to uni and her landlord just acted crazy and she had to move just like that, short notice, and it took her months to get her deposit back. But because she had savings, she was able to make that move quickly and it didn't have that much impact. So that emergency fund is for priority bills and is for when student loan mess up or if your landlord decides to act crazy, then it's to cover that. Right, so that's option 1. You take £780, you put it in your savings account, you don't look at it. Option 2, every time you get your student loan money, so in the first year, in September, put £100 aside. In January, put £260 aside. In April, put £420 aside. So within the first year, you would have saved your 780 as your emergency fund. The only thing with doing it this way is that if you had an emergency, like in the middle of the year, you might not have all of the money to be able to resolve that issue, but at least you've got some money there. And if you do use the emergency fund pot, when your next payment, you have to replenish it. So the idea is that you always have a sum of money that's sitting there. And if you're able to do that with your student loan, guess what? You're going to be able to do that with your paycheck. You're going to be able to do that when you get your pay rise because you've built that habit within you. And the third option, if people find it difficult to do 1 or 2, is basically save every month according to the month. So we'll take September as the beginning of the financial year, right? So you basically save £10 in September. October, you save £20. November, you save £30. And by August next year, you would have 780. That's the longer way to do it. And let me tell you something, saving that amount every month, like I said, you're building the muscle, you're getting into the habit. Because if you can save £10, you're going to be able to save 120. So these are like 3 different ways that you can save up for your emergency fund using your student loan. And even if you've got parents and they want to help, you can ask them, just give me my student loan money, my emergency fund money, sorry. Get them to help you just put aside that emergency fund money. You know, if your parents give you money, put it into the emergency fund money so you know that you've got money there as a backup. So the goal is that you always have 780 in your emergency fund at any given time. And if you have to withdraw to pay for any essential expense, your next goal is to top it up. So you always have that amount there. Okay, I'm now going to give you some tips on managing your food budget, because this is where a lot of people struggle. And even people that are not students, the food budget is the one thing that, how do I stick to my food budget? Like, I'm always going over. And the truth is that, like, you don't want to go hungry whilst at uni. Like, there's no parent that wants to know that their kid is starving at uni. So I want to just give you some tips on how you can manage this. Okay. So do your food shopping weekly and always have a list. Monzo is a really good bank card to have when it comes to your food budget, because you can actually tell it how much you want to spend between this period and this period for food. And every time you do your food shopping, it will tell you what's left. It's better to do your food budget weekly, because the truth is that when you do your food budget on a monthly basis, you're assuming that you want to eat pasta in 3 weeks' time. You might not, like, how do you know what you want to eat in 3 weeks' time? Who knows what they want to eat in 3 weeks' time? So rather than buying things that you might change your mind in 3 weeks' time, and then the foods end up wasting, or you don't end up using it, and then you go and buy more food, just decide each week, what am I eating this week? What am I having for breakfast? What am I having for lunch? Am I taking food to uni, or am I buying lunch? What am I cooking for dinner? You check first what you have, you create your list, and then you go and buy what you need for what you want to eat that week. If you do it on a weekly basis, it's much better. And also, say your food budget is 100, say it's £100. Let's just say it's £100 a month, right? Divide that into 4. You're budgeting £25 every week for your food budget, because then that way you know that this is how much you have this week to spend. But if you look at the whole amount, you're likely to just go into Asda, spend it all, and then you still have to figure out what to do at the end of the year. Aldi is a very cheap and affordable place to shop. Their food is of very good quality. You can do Marks and Spencers after you graduate. You know, and you might have certain things that you like from M&S, you know, and that's all good. But remember that you're trying to get your money to stretch, because student loan money, it's not a lot. And if you're trying to get it to do too much, that's where the stress comes in. If you're going to M&S, like, go at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock when they're about to close, and just buy what you need for that week. Have a set amount for food shopping, like I said, every week, £20 to £30, depending on whether you take lunch to uni or not. Avoid skipping breakfast, because it's your fuel for the day. You know, you want to avoid like sugary food, you know, because your blood sugar is going to go up, and just after your first lecture, you're tired, you want to sleep. So it's really important that you give yourself what you need. So making sure that you manage your food budget is really important. So avoid skipping meals if possible. When you have money, buy the essentials in bulk. If mum is coming, tell her to bring you that 5-gallon oil, or tell her to bring you that 10 kg rice. When you have things in bulk, one, it saves you the time from going shopping all the time, and it's actually cheaper to buy things in bulk. So things like rice, pasta, you know, you can buy them in bulk. You save yourself a lot of money. And when you buy in bulk, you can decide, okay, once a month, I'm going to buy in bulk, and I'm going to just take a cab. And you can even share it with a roommate. You can, you know, tell them that, hey, let's do bulk shopping. You all go, you share a cab. And finally, feed your body what it needs, especially in the winter periods. You know, like, worst is when you've got exams and you've got assignments and you're not well. And a lot of it is because we're not eating well, or we're not really giving ourselves what our body needs. So it's really important to build your immune system, especially in the winter period. I'm even talking this, and we're in COVID. So it's really important to just build your immune system, eat well, don't compromise on your food, on your everyday food. So this is just some ideas, and you get this again when you sign up to the program. Just things that you should always have. These things you should always have in your cupboard. If you have these things, even on those months when you're low on cash, you still be able to get by, you know. And like I said, you get this when you sign up to the program. And then finally, you want to have like a student kind of annual finance report, especially if it's your first year. You're not really going to know how much your expenses are going to be. But if you keep track of it, it will really help you next year to budget, right? Because next year you might be like, okay, do you know something? This student loan money isn't a lot. My parents are not helping me as much. I'm going to go get a part-time job. because it will really just kind of take the stress off, and it will just be easier if I just do 1 day a week and I'm earning that extra £100-200, you know. So by you tracking and keeping a report of your income, so how much money came in September, how much did you spend, how much did you save, it will just help you to plan better for the following years. So I am going to stop sharing my screen now, and I am going to pass over for questions.
So before you even get,
give a round of applause. Can we give a round of applause to?
That was an incredible session. Thank you so much, Esther. Thank you, guys. Can we get some, claps and some fire in the chat, please? That was an incredible session.
Thank you so much.
Ezekiel, go.
So, guys, we were saying 6 p.m. Now we're even bringing it earlier for you guys. The applications to the mentorship program is officially open. You saw what Boss of My Money brought. We just put the link to the application to the mentorship program on the YouTube page. You saw what she brought. You saw the spreadsheet she brought. You saw what each and every speaker brought. You don't want to be broke in uni. We don't have to accept that broke life. You don't need to glamorize that broke life, because sometimes people glamorize it. Oh, I'm broke. I don't want to accept that. I don't want to glamorize that. Let's glamorize wealth. Let's be like, oh, we're wealthy together. Let's actually get our finances in order so that we can set the foundation for our children's children, because they normally take on things that you do now. So it's not really just you, but it's also your generation. That's what building generational wealth is. So if you want to get all of that spreadsheet, you want to get all of that budget, you want to get everything, make sure you sign up to the mentorship program. I'm telling you guys, the first 15 minutes is half price. You don't want to miss it. I'm telling you, it's a bargain. I'm telling you, it's a steal. And you can get the full access to the budgeting, and you can get all the access to all the recordings for free. You won't even need to pay for any recording. But if you're not in the mentorship program, you will have to pay for the recording, and you won't really get the budgeting thing unless you pay for it with Andre or Esther herself. So if I was you guys, let's take this time to capitalize. We don't need to repeat the mistakes of our predecessors. Let's do the job properly this time. You know what? Let's really get busy. Let's really get this done.
Amazing. Let's pull you back, Ezekiel. Tabani can continue. Let's get some of the questions in here. Guys, it's also sent to your email at this moment in time. So you got the link. You can read all the information there. We've had Esther already train up our purpose mentees anyway, previously before. And yeah, we have a lot more time with her and access to different types of Black Christians like this. So honor you, Esther, allow you to keep going. And you guys, if you're wise, at the same time as listening, you will make sure that you go ahead and make sure you do the first part of the application. Bless you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre. Thank you. So, Esther, the next session we're going to go into, next section is going to be Q&A. So I'm going to put some questions up on the screen, and then if we can just, take those one at a time. So the first question is, do you recommend getting a job during first year of uni? And any tips for EU students that don't get grants?
Okay, so this is a hard one, because I feel like when you're going to uni, there's just that first year is a lot of adjusting. So you kind of want to just focus on your studies, settling in, like making friends and getting used to your lecturers, just really building that foundation. So I feel like, if at all possible, just try and focus on settling down that first year, if at all possible. And then maybe in the second or third year, you can possibly get like a part-time job. But if you really, really, really have to, then you don't want to get a job that's going to take you away from your studies. Because like I said, it's 3 years that you should be dedicating to your studies. And you want to kind of go through that smoothly. So if you can avoid it, then do and focus on your studies. But if it's a thing of where you can't and you need to work, then it's all about you knowing that you're going to have to just be on your grind. You're going to have to stay on top of your assignments and probably just try and get a job that doesn't take too much away from you, a job that is flexible, that sort of thing. I know you've mentioned in your question about being an EU student, so I'm going to assume that you're an EU student and you probably need to work to pay for your course fees and that sort of thing, then in that case, you've kind of signed up for it. You've gone into uni knowing that you're going to have to work and study. So your focus should really be just to manage the two. So if you don't get grants, then you really need to just live within your means. So it's all about just spending money only on your essentials, and not going outside of that, and just trying to avoid debt as much as possible. If you can get family to support, great. And I just want to let everybody know out there, and this is more for you, prepare for your own children. The money that student finance gives, it's not supposed to be enough. That money is to help our parents for whatever they would have saved for us to go to university. So don't just rely on the student. It's not supposed to be enough for us. That's why it isn't enough. That's why most students struggle. That money is supposed to be top up money. So if your parents can help you it's better to get help from them than it is to go and take on debt. And you should, once you graduate, you should be preparing for your own children, because if student loan money isn't enough for you, it's not going to be enough for them. So we need to not repeat the process. So if you are an EU student and you don't get grants, then you may need to get a part-time job to support yourself. And if you've got family that can help, then great. And you just need to live within your means. Create a budget and stick to it, and know that just let the 3 years ride. It's going to come and go like this. So I'll make time for the next question.
Thank you. So we've got someone here asking, do you have any tips on how to save money and pay off debt? So maybe just a couple of tips.
Yep, sure. So if you're in order for you to save money, just think about doing it a small amount but consistently. That is the key. Save small and save consistently. Even if you can save £50 every month, by the end of the year, that's still money. It's still money that you have, right? And make sure that your savings is in a separate account to your bills and your spending money. Because if you're seeing that money every day, then guess what? You're going to be tempted to use it. And when you're saving money, you don't want to tie it into any investment, because when you need the money, you need to be able to access it. So don't tie your money into any investment. Don't take £500 and put it in Bitcoin, because that is risky. Like when you need that £500, you might not get it. So have a separate account for your savings, save small but consistently. And in terms of paying off debts, you want to just make sure that you're paying more than the minimum. If you're just paying the minimum, guess what? You're making the banks richer, because when you're only paying the minimum, they're adding interest every month. So you're saying that you don't have money to save, but you have money to pay them every month in interest. So if you have debt, pay off more than the minimum on all of them. And there's different strategies that you can use to pay off debt. I'll very quickly just run through them. One is called the debt avalanche. One is called the debt snowball. The debt avalanche is where you list out all of your debts. So it could be, I owe Barclays £500, I owe NatWest overdraft £200, and then I've got a credit card here, £1,000, right? Barclays, you're paying £20, NatWest, you're paying 30, the credit card, you're paying 100. You want to make sure you're paying the minimum on all, but any extra money you have, you want to throw it in the debt that has the highest interest, right? And then once you've paid off that first debt, you take that money that you were giving Barclays, for example, and then you put it all into NatWest. Once you finish paying NatWest, you take all of that money and you put it into the credit card. The other one, which is called debt snowball, is where you list out all of your debts in the lowest balance, right? So say Barclays, we only have, £200 there. NatWest, we have 500. The credit card is 1,000. You list it out in order of lowest balance. You pay the minimum on all of them. And any extra money you have, you first clear Barclays. Once you've paid Barclays, that money you were paying, you move it to NatWest and you pay NatWest. And then that money you were paying, you use it to the other one. So that's basically how you do it. But it's really important that you avoid debt as much as you can, because debt is you basically giving money away. If you don't have it to save and give to yourself, why are you giving it away? Why are you making these banks rich? Why are you making these credit card companies rich? When they give you a credit card, they know that if they give 10 people credit cards, they know 2 people, they're not going to make any money from them. They're just going to pay it off every month because they have their money. They're very good at budgeting. They only, spend what they have. The other 8, they're the ones that the banks and the credit cards are going to make money on 3 times more. So you really need to be smart and think, why is this person giving me, they don't even know me and they're giving me £500 at the start of my degree. What is that about?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So the next question is, what can you do when you have a tenancy that runs September to September and don't go home during the summer, which often saves students a lot of money throughout the year?
So I think with that is planning ahead, right? Because September to September is a whole year. It's all about you planning ahead so that when that by the time that tenancy is running out, you're moving into your other accommodation. So this just means that just you planning ahead, finding landlords that could possibly take you in early. I think it's just all about planning ahead. And if, say, you had, a few friends who you were all in the same situation, you could maybe, I don't know, for a month, hire an Airbnb or something, chip in money, stay until your next tenancy starts. But I think with that, it really is just planning ahead, and just so that you have that overlap. So as that tenancy ends, that your landlord will allow you to move in, before the new student academic year begins. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, our next question is, what different types of savings accounts do you recommend?
So I would say have a savings account for your emergency fund. Have a savings account that is like for your personal stuff. So things that you want to do, things that you want to accomplish. Have a savings account for other people. My husband and I, we actually have a savings account for family emergencies. I'm from Sierra Leone, and every now and then we'll get an odd phone call. Someone's not well. This has happened. That one's happened. This one needs to pay for this. So rather than it derailing my own goals, I take it out of the family emergency pot. You can have as many savings accounts as you want. I have a Monzo account, and Monzo allows you to have pots, and I have a pot for everything. I have an Uber pot. So I'm not currently driving, but I always have £100 in my Uber pot that I can use in a month, right? And I haven't really been going anywhere, so I haven't had to top up that 100. But my husband and I always have £100 in case, I need to go somewhere. I know that it's there, and I know that I can only spend 100 on Uber. That's it for the month. So if I'm taking Uber, I have to be like, oh, I've taken 3 Ubers already. There's £30 left. Maybe my husband has to go somewhere. So you can have as many as you like. And with savings account, at the moment, the interest rate is not good on savings, right? But when things like were normal, the only way that you would get a lot of interest from your savings account is when you put a high lump sum and lock it in, right? So if for example, right, your parents are helping you, right, or you have a part-time job in second year, you could take your student loan, part of your student loan money, and say, I'm going to take £500 and I'm going to put it in a high interest yielding savings account and lock it in for 2 years. You could do that, because the only way that you can make good interest from your savings is when you lock it in. So any type of savings account where you have direct access, the banks are not going to pay you a lot of interest because you can take the money out at any time. So when you lock in your money, you're saying to them, invest it, because that's what they do with your £500. Barclays and forgive me, Barclays, for using you as an example, but they take your £500 and they go and invest it, and they make more from your money than that small 2%, 3% that they're giving you. So when you're able to manage your finances well, you're able to invest your money. But even before you get to investing, you need to make sure that you're sorting out your everyday, that your bills are paid, that you have an emergency pot in case something happens, that you have different types of savings, right? And then think about investing, because investing is for the future, it's not for now. And I know this isn't an investing question, and I'm not going to get into it. So have as many savings account as you want. If you want to get high interest from it, you will have to lock your money down. Your emergency money should not be locked down, because you need to access it if you have an emergency.
Perfect. Thank you. I think that actually concludes our questions. But I want to take this opportunity to thank you for being on the platform today. So guys, can we, put some fire, put some applause in the chat so I can do it in person. So thank you so much. I know I've learned a lot today.
Great stuff.
Sorry?
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me, and thanks to all the people that tuned in, and thanks for your questions.
No, thank you so much. I've learned so much from the session today and all the previous sessions that we've had today. So guys, I hope for all of you watching that you've gone and signed up for the mentorship program, because I mean, there's nothing else to say. I think you can see the quality that's there. You can see what we get for our money, and you can see how beneficial this program is. So I want to thank all of you guys for being on the platform today, and just want to make sure that no one else has anything to say before I end the broadcast.
Yes, we just want to say thank you.